I think we just I think we have the map bands up
Yep.
on the screen. Just a second for you guys, and we'll see where we're going to actually be playing. OrgLess will be banning first, Mockit second. As you can see, Oregon and Villa are the maps that we will not be playing because they were played last week.
Yeah,
Or
so-
yesterday.
Yeah, it's very true.
Is it-
Last play day.
It's so
We're used to like play
yeah.
day being a whole week, but yeah,
3 play days in a week, and then but no, it's totally different.
no, we're season 8. This is a completely different timeline here. So we narrowed it down, of course, from a 7-map pool into 5. Bank, Coastline, Clubhouse will get banned. I assume. Oh, Consulate removed for Mockit, so they're gonna go to Border, which is a map that's actually pretty strong for OrgLess, but also in general for French teams. They're very okay with going on off-sites, having some specific strategies they can do
Right.
on certain different sites. We mentioned Bathroom Tellers quite a bit, but that is a site that both OrgLess and Mockit are pretty okay with. So if anything, I look at this map, I look at this matchup, and I think this is going to be a banger. That's for sure.
See, that's what I'm thinking about all the matches today. Like I said, each of these matchups, the teams are within one place of each other. So we're gonna have I would imagine 5 or 4 draws today. Now, that's the way it looks anyway. You could see almost no movement in the standings. It could be one of those days.
It's actually very possible. We've never had it so far.
Yeah. So it would be the first, but I mean, well, let's see what you guys think.
Yeah.
Who's gonna win? Will it be a draw? Let's find out.
Yeah. OrgLess 58, Mockit 33, and draw 9%. You know what I think? I think it's because Mockit won yesterday, it gives them that advantage. Of course, they beat Millennium. It was a hard start for Mockit, but then they just ran with the game, and Millennium could not recover. And that, for me, is what pulled up their percentages, because people are like, okay, so they went to DreamHack Valencia, didn't fare too well, but because they could all sit down and practice and play together, it kind of meshed better for them, and there you go, they're playing, in a much superior way to what they were the week before. I think it's a similar thing to like Rogue. Rogue were already an excellent team. They go to Valencia, they get to play together as a squad, and spend some time together as a team. They go back to North America, they play, and they're even more dominant than the usual.
Right, and a lot of it comes down to LAN experience, but we do have the game ready, so we will be loading into Border, this map for the matchup, and a well-balanced one for, I think, these teams, like you talked about earlier, and I'm sure we'll have an even contest. But yeah, no, really, I do agree with you. The LAN experience, that value is weighted so heavy, or so much heavier than every other thing in our scene. Like, if you're ever wondering, hey, how do I get into the pro scene? How do I get my name up there? Yeah, play to LAN. And I know you're thinking, oh, well, that's crazy. How do you do that, Kickstarter? Well, DreamHacks have BIOC.
Yes, just go with your friends to BYOC. So bring your own computer tournaments and try to qualify to those top 16. But interestingly enough, we'll see Twitch banned as their first op here. Banned by OrgLess. They don't want to play against us. Maybe they're setting up from some sort of play with either
Ravon.
Oh, feels bad, man. What else do you mean?
So that was obviously, if you couldn't tell by the chat, a direct counter, getting rid of one of the mainstays for their opponents. Smart play there.
I mean, Mockit have a very strong play on IQ, on Twitch, on what else? They play very well, obviously, on the Ash with Alive. They play very well on Dokkaebi, with Panics as well, and with Ravon. So honestly, they can play or whatever. These teams have quite a bit of experience behind them, but Zero final ban will be Echo, so that will extend his ban rate. Maestro still, the anchor that is banned the most. Kisses and hugs and love that is coming out in chat is, of course, a big part of Rainbow Six professional play is, respect and love amongst all the players, even though they're competing. In-game, everybody's out for the win, but when we're out of the game, it's all about having fun, right?
Yeah, the entire Rainbow Six pro scene is just a group of friends. All these guys know each other really well, and you get to meet them at all the LANs, and everybody has fun. And about all that said, like you talked about, when you get into this match online, absolute ruthless.
Yeah.
Absolutely ruthless. There is there's no love lost. It's just complete. I'm gonna win this match. So we'll see which team is able to put their best foot forward. But we have the ban phase finally finished out, and now we're going to actually start the rounds. OrgLess will be defending, Mockit attacking, Armory the first site, as is expected.
Yeah, as is tradition.
It is really.
Yeah, but OrgLess, of course, bringing the Vigil on Para. He's a player that's very, very used to playing Vigil. Ella as well is an operator that we'll see him bring out every now and then. I'm interested to see where Rips will set up his mute jammers because, you know, Bandit is not always picked in Europe. It's an exchange basically between Mute and Bandit, and there you go. He's going to set up his first jammer on the walls. It's going to make it a bit more difficult for any charge.
Yeah, of course, Mute and Bandit are both useful. One can destroy gadgets, the other one will catch drones. It's really just what your priorities are. And you can't go wrong either way. It looks like Rips is going to be using one of those Mute Jammers for half wall, which is going to give him a little bit more flexibility if he chooses to anchor in that position. It's very dangerous typically, as most teams are able to read that spot and get rid of it from below. You can see that we do in fact have an Ashe who will be really perfect for that exact role. That's Alive. We've been, you talked about this actually a couple days ago when we were discussing it, where Alive is one of those players that has been really sticking to the Ashe role, where she is currently in the meta considered not as viable as she once was. You know, she used to be the mainstay entry frag. And she has since been replaced by, well, actually a multitude of operators. You know, people always point a finger at Zofia specifically, and she did play a big part, but it wasn't just her. It couldn't just be her. She's not even a 3-speed.
Yeah, it's just a different way of playing things. That's why you'll go for an Ashe instead of a Zofia, because, hey, you want that extra speed boost. Yeah. You want a rifle that will have, you know, more DPS. Well, you know what? At least up close to medium range. Then yeah, you'll go for an Ashe. It lends itself to the aggressive playstyle. However, if you're going to play more of a support role, instead of just trying to run in frags off of it, you're going to play the Zofia. It gives you a lot of utility, and for some people, maybe a bit too much utility, but still.
Again, something we could debate at length, I'm sure. So, Alive opening that front door and ashing from below. That's going to take care of those Mute Jammers. Hungary's trying to contest vertically. That's an aggressive play, especially for a smoke, but it has seen good results in the past from many teams. As the Thermite charge is detonated, however, he will be forced off the wall and will have to play safe by Sandwich or a bomb. Still Mute playing at half wall. That's Rips. He's got his jammer, but it's not going to be able to save him from a little bit of information gathering, and his position will be given away. If there are no Jaeger ADSs in a position to stop these flashes and grenades, he will soon see his demise at the hands of Panics on this IQ. But no, a Jaeger actually catches the grenade when it didn't catch the flashes. 2 kills for Mockit on the entry through the A wall, and OrgLess will have to rotate and attempt to hold this from a different angle.
And now what OrgLess have to fear are those Dokkaebi charges. The calls will come in, and at least they'll reveal the position of the Vigil for just a second. But there you go. Alive just capitalizes on it, gets the kill from below, and now takes control of the main stairs. KS now on the site. Enemy, what a angle to play right inside. A position that a lot of people have been not reinforcing recently. Aces will get one, can't find the second as enemy. Still holding the same angle. Finds the 3rd kill, I believe, of this round with DMR.
So, we have seen Border a lot recently. Now, I didn't catch the games yesterday, but in what I've been seeing from Pro League most as of late, every time we see Border and there's not a Thermite ban, it's very different to when he is banned. Yeah. And we've been seeing a lot of Border with him gone. So the fact that Mockit was allowed to bring Thermite on this match, I mean, imagine that round that we just witnessed without Thermite. Instead of a giant hole, it's just a Hibana hole, you know, not very much space to work with. Now, what does that mean? It means, first of all, it's going to be hard for those flash grenades to clear out the ADSs, which will make it harder for the grenades to follow up to kill the player behind half wall. Now, there's ways around that. You could play from below, but we're just theorizing the lack of a Thermite for now. And then from there, even if you do get the grenades into the right position, that's going to allow Rips the Mute in that situation to actually rotate off of half wall, because he'll have hard cover more likely than not, because you can't open the entire A wall. So the fact that Void was so easily able to open up the A wall is the reason Mockit saw such great success in that round. It just opened up too many angles, and OrgLess were left exposed. And that's why we've been seeing so many teams banning Thermite on Border.
And you saw what Mockit did. They didn't really push in to get any kills.
Right.
They just held angles and waited until OrgLess came into them.
And that's exactly the point, you know? It's just, if you have so much to work with, there's no reason to rush yourself. Whereas for holes, you're going to have to. You have to play a little bit more aggressively. You have to get a better position to establish those angles. Anyway, that was the last round.
Yep.
And it was an interesting one. And I'm sure we're going to see more of the same. And I think that's why, as well, we're seeing a rotation down to the bottom bomb site. We're going over to Ventilation Workshop instead of Armory, because OrgLess has read that, okay, AWOL is going to be really hard to deal with since we've got that Thermite.
All right, Revon has come on in to the east stairs with his drone. Not going to find anything, as nobody's really attempting to take him out. We'll get the kill on the first default camera. Drone's going to get thrown in here by enemy to scout things around the site. Because, hey, you're not going to have all the players sitting inside of that workshop. They're going to be here in detention. Para immediately shot down after being detected. Just Mockit and Alive especially. Perfect.
That coordination between the droners on Mockit and Alive himself, really absolutely stellar to clear out that roamer inside of Custom.
Yeah, and this is why, even though we always mention Alive on the Ash, it goes beyond that. It's him on the Ash being excellent, but also the fact that the team communication is so excellent that he just knows exactly what to be, what awaits him beyond the angle that he's holding.
I can tell you it's a really great feeling to be that Ash entry frag and have your teammates supporting you like that. Oh, Hungry holding from above, as is most of OrgLess. As you can see, they're playing a heavy roam on the top floor, opening up a lot of holes, and there are anchors in the site, but they're far and few between. And Mockit's looking to pressure horizontally, not worrying about that vertical game. KS, the anchor inside of Bathroom, going to try and hold this push as best he can using the pre-made holes. Ravon will get Hungry on the entry, so that's the smoke gone. With only a minute left, those gas canisters were indispensable, and now they will not be dispensed. Panic's trying to hold the flank inside of Tellers, deny that drop down as long as possible. They've got the man advantage, and by they, I mean, of course, Mockit, and now they're starting to get site control. As they open up even more holes, KS is going to be completely exposed in this bathroom, but he will down Panics in the hallway, so a little bit of damage done.
KS holding from the bathroom, still opening fire. Aces jumps into them, he gets one, he turns around, but Alive is ready for him, and Voy and Alive will get the last two as well. My God, that was... what? That was hilarious. Look at how good he is. The reaction immediately to switch from the Jaeger on to the mute, and he gets the last two, eliminating everybody from OrgLess. And I really don't know what's going on in communications right now with OrgLess, but that was a very ballsy play from the Jaeger, to say the least.
Yeah, and a really great reaction from Alive, absolutely. You know, I've talked about it before, and I will talk about it again. I'll keep saying it in this meta where we are right now with Ash. If you play that operator, you really do need to be one of the best at Ash. You have to be able to hit those insane shots to justify you playing that role, and Alive qualifies.
That's why you will see, the only times you'll really see Ash banned is when Alive is playing, and this is the reason why.
Well, you know, of course, there are other players who do qualify. Nesk, for example, from Latin America. There's a lot of people.
You can literally give Nesk anything.
Well, yeah, to be fair, you could give Nesk anything. But you know, he has been playing Ash recently, and you know, there are other people who can play that role. It's just, yeah, it's a short list. There's 10, 15 players in all of Pro League who can pick up that operator and still excel in the meta. But excel he is. 4 kills already, 2 rounds in. And if you're not familiar with CG Esports, that's a good amount. It's a solid start.
Yeah, well, 2 in total, actually, for the entirety of OrgLess, which does not bode well early on. Now, seeing as the Thermite is not banned, the attackers have a bit of an advantage here, because, you know, you mentioned, you were explaining the differences between having the Habana, having the Thermite, and what roles their utility really do fill and, you know, funnel your team into. But here, if you're on the attack, you put 3 rounds on the board, you're pretty alright with what you have, especially counting the fact that you have that extra utility to play with. But you have to be afraid of it once you get to round 6 and you switch things around.
I gotta be honest, the attackers are heavily favored in this matchup to me. You've got a Mira Echo ban. Mira Echo, that is standard top tier bans for against the defense. That hurts the defense a ton. Meanwhile, on the attack, you've got Twitching Glass. Okay, yes, sure, those are very much targeted bans. Great, but it's just not nearly as bad as the defensive bans. So the attackers are going to have a huge edge in this match to me from just the operator ban phase. And the operator ban phase is, again, oh so relevant, especially on border. However, that's, again, just speculation, but we have been seeing it at least play out so far with 2 rounds easily for Mockit. Not a lot of competition being put up by OrgLess right now.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame seeing as how OrgLess was putting things up on the board, or even early on versus Vitality. But again, we just hit round number 3, so yeah, it's going to take a while before we're done. So it's Siege. It could always switch around, and
yep,
we might see things really be flip turned upside down.
So, Alive, doing Alive things, opening that front door, allowing for the thermite charge to be detonated on the A wall. As you can see, OrgLess are playing very much far afield. They do not want to hard hold the wall. They are instead focusing on vertical play. You've got some roamers downstairs, very likely with C4. You do have Rips on the pulse, so of course that's going to be his main role. Wait for the push and then C4 from below. Now, this could work for OrgLess, but the thing they really need to prioritize is not getting picked early. When it comes to either their roamers or their anchors, they need to not lose any manpower, because if they do, that's going to make their lives exceptionally difficult. Voy, despite having this giant thermite hole, still going to miss one of his flashbangs. I told you, it's not easy to hit those nades sometimes.
Yeah, it happens to everyone, even professional players. So, you know, you guys, you can rest assured that is okay. The fuser's going to be set on the floor. Gas canister is going to get thrown on the side. Because of the angle, it'll seep through the wall.
Yeah, in case you're wondering, it does go through the wall, and that's going to force Voy to fall back. C4, oh no, wasted, but Rips will get a follow-up kill onto Alive, so at least it's not all lost. Still, though, a huge misplay there from the Pulse. If nothing else, it'll force Voy to rotate his plant spot. The enemy going to push in with support from his teammates. Panics will get Para. So site control now for the attackers, and OrgLess is going to have to fight back with 2 on the floor. It's just KS after Panics gets Rips. Enemy finishes off Aces. KS now looking for another fight. He's got to find 4, though, to make it happen.
Enemy holding the angle here, but KS getting up close against them. He'll get 1 kill on enemy. Now maneuvers in to try and pick up Hungry. Assume that information will get sent back in. As you see, Mockit are setting up for their post-plant defensive positions to go for the peak, but Voy will get the kill on KS. And Hungry now, the man that was picked up, is on half health. Barely anything left on the board as Voy will finish him off. Good round here by Mockit. Put it on the board. It's a good start, this one.
Yeah. An excellent attack, that's for sure, and now 3 in a row for Mockit. They have been absolutely on fire so far. Meanwhile, their opponents, OrgLess, have yet to show us much of anything. Now, you expect them to be able to put up a fight, but again, these bans, man, they really do hurt that defensive side. Meanwhile, they're not really doing much for the attackers. Armory Lockers Archives, yet again, from OrgLess, they're just doing their best to claw out a round victory here or there. If they can get these next 2 rounds, they still have a good chance in the match. In fact, I would say they're favored, given how slanted this map is going to be in terms of attacker favor.
Enemy will switch back to the Dokkaebi. After a bit of a tease on the Ying. I would be expecting a Ying to be played by OrgLess once we get to that second half, but Rips will switch around to the Maestro.
Maestro, a sensible pick in this situation. They've been having trouble dealing with that direct contest from the A wall. As soon as Thermite gets the A wall open, it just becomes, oh, well, we lose a bunch of fights in sequence. So what can you do to kind of stop the bleeding? Well, you can get indirect contention. That's Rips using those evil eyes potentially to help out a lot with that eventual push.
We'll see how this round is set up, as Rips will have, it's an evil eye inside of the office. It's a bit of a different angle than what you would usually see.
Probably expecting a change in the push from Mockit, given they've been attacking the A-wall, all of the armories so far.
Maybe seeing the bandit being played here by OrgLess might prompt that change, but Mockit still have panics, and they have the IQ, they have enemy as well, and of course Alive, who more often than not has been coming in and sending his first Ash round into the bottom floor and making short work of any utility that is set right behind that armory wall.
Yeah, it's really hard to bandit trick when you're getting blown up from below. It becomes really exceptionally difficult. But Rips is going to have an eye on either potential attack, whether it comes from the A-wall or from the offices. So, CCTV control the priority for Mockit right off the bat. We haven't seen OrgLess contest this yet, and rightfully so. I think it'd be very dangerous without an Amira. And it's just going to be slow play. It's just going to be control established for Mockit. That's their main priority right now. They do seem like they're mixing up their strategy, and the main tell for that is Alive not at the front door, rather at Passport. And Passport, of course, you can't open up underneath Aces from that position. However, you still have that focus on the CCTV control, which really makes it hard to read the take so far. I suppose Mockit could go either way at this point. They still have plenty of time.
Mockit will at least send panics to the other side, and Voy can come in and just set up his exothermic charge. He's got to be worried about the bandit batteries, so let's see how... There we go. Mockit, how will they deal with it? Well, you know what? They got this thing called the breaching round. They're going to set it up and open things up. The batteries are still here, but Alive has an angle to contest the bandit, and of course, he has the call to work with. This will force Aces back, and the Thermite of Void should have a... No, what was... How
he missed the bandit. The battery's still up.
Oh, God.
Oh, it seems it's been destroyed, though. Looks like Panic's got it using his IQ sensor. Good teamwork there for Mockit. And now the A-wall is wide open, which means Mockit have the same attack strategy that they've employed many times before. And if history repeats itself, we will see another Mockit round.
Voy will wait around until the calls from his teammates to set up his diffuser. And there you go. You see that evil light that was set by the Maestro on the half wall. Grenade should be more than enough to dispatch it, as Panix was scanning around for an ADS. There we go. Grenade will make short work of the evil eye. This will get very complicated for OrgLess to defend, as it has been. So, gas canister will get thrown in, as Voy will have to fall back. He takes an extra bullet and is down, but Alive will get a kill onto KS, the usual fragger for the team. Panix, a grenade will land on a Hungry and take him out. There's still 8 seconds left on the clock, as Panix will go down to Aces from below. His room maneuvered. And even 2 kills coming in with the MLE. Enemy coming in for 1, but Aces is the last alive. Voy will try to go for the plant in the meantime, as he is picked up. Enemy will find the angle, cannot get the headshot just yet. Aces will have to run in and possibly clutch around here. He gets 1, he turns around for the second, but the Thermite is all out on the balcony. Does he? No, he looks the other way, and Voy will clutch around on the side. Aces unable to save it, and the information just not sent well here.
An absolutely fantastic try from Aces. He read that situation perfectly, dropping from the top floor, going downstairs, seeing the hole right on the default plant spot, denying a diffuse plant, as well as getting a couple kills to follow it up. Then on the retake, he almost had it. If only he knew where the Thermite was. You gotta imagine he would have won that fight. He was just on fire in the round. However, while it was a nice try from Aces, good effort overall from Rips as well, it was still Mockit well in the driver's seat. As soon as they got that A-wall open, it was a clean sweep right into the site, get that diffuse plant, and they don't even need smoke cover, really. They're just fragging out.
Thatcher will get picked up here by enemy on the 6th pick. No 6th pick for OrgLess, as they'll bring the alibi. Again, they go into vents, and last time they played this site, they had Alibi being played by Para as well. He put himself in detention and got very swiftly destroyed by the combo of the Ashe and the IQ. Well, yeah, the Ashe and the IQ, and of course the droning that made things a lot easier for Mockit. A total of 8 kills in total for OrgLess heading into 5th round. And if Mockit run away with a 5-0, that already puts them at a minimum of 1 point. Well, OrgLess will have to fight against really all the odds to tie it up and get a minimum of a point.
Now that said, I feel like I need to reiterate that this is a distinctly attacker-sided map right now and match. So this isn't necessarily OrgLess being beaten to a pulp because they're a worse team. No, it's more the ban phase was just so much against the defenders and not really that hard on the attackers. So. And I feel like I'm repeating myself, but it's really worth noting considering how slanted that scoreline is. There's very much the possibility that we're going to see a switch here. We'll go over to the other side. OrgLess will start their comeback. However, I do have to say, like you said, if they can't get that one round, if they can't get this to 4-1 on the first half, it's going to be really hard for OrgLess to make a comeback. I mean, even with 4-1, it's difficult.
Yeah, it's just, if you're on map and match point, the mentality basically is like, okay, it's pretty much done, and you let go of 3 points.
Yeah.
Whereas if you can put one on the board, you can just say, yo, okay, guys, we got one, just need 3 more, and then, you know, we tie up 4-4, we'll try to play from there. And, you know, that at least is something that you cannot forget about. The mental game for a lot of professional teams is very important. You know, keeping up the morale, that's a big job of the IGL, making sure that everybody's in a good mood and listening in to make sure they don't make any mistakes. Yeah, speaking of mistakes, that was potentially one here. Panix is trying to bounce the grenade inside of the bathroom, and both will not connect.
Now the castle barricade, just a little rim of it likely there, caught the grenade and did not give the bounce that was wanted and bargained for there from Panix. So he's going to have to challenge this angle raw, and it's a difficult thing to do, especially considering he's being contested from above. Castle will be down. That's KS no longer able to help his teammate Hungry from above, but still, Smoke going to be able to likely salvage that bathroom control. Panix is looking for the angle now to finish off his opponent. Ravon will get pair up, one of those roamers. And it's still a heavy emphasis on vertical play from OrgLess. Meanwhile, Mockit ignoring it wholeheartedly and just saying, let's hit the site.
Yeah, look at this. A minute left on the clock with a sidewall opened up by the Thermite. If that is not efficient timing, I don't know what is, Michael. Panix is just looking in. They're right outside. They've done the whole checklist. All that's left is get in and plant.
And that's going to be the difficult part, though. As you can see, OrgLess is set up to stop a potential plant. They just need to rely on that vertical play. The castle likely to bleed out inside a bathroom, but his job is done. He's denied entry to that room. Finally, the bleed out happens. Aces and Hungry get one for each other, and Panix will refrag onto Rips. Aces from above still doing work. Alive eliminated. Well, you can see Mockit aware that they need to take this top floor, and Panix will be attempting to do so, but very slowly. He actually hasn't given away his position. It doesn't look like Aces is aware of this, but he finally figures it out, and he will get yet another kill in this round. The final attacker, Voy, inside of B, will be going for a plant. Now, he could potentially play this from outside because of how well he's planted the diffuser. However, he's going to choose to actually stick in it and go for the server stack. A very dangerous play. He's going to get the initial frag onto Aces. Nice headshot there, but Hungry in a position to get the follow-up, and OrgLess will clutch out the round. Hungry just careful of those claymores. He doesn't want to throw it away, and the GHs will come out of the chat. Good halves. And a successful defuse. Plenty of time for this.
Oh, I was really hoping that he would find it there at the end, because that would have been hilarious.
I mean, imagine you kill the final attacker, and then you run into a claymore, and you're like, ah, no.
Yeah, that's happened way too many times. I mean, we'll remind you, for people that did not watch it, in last season, it was OrgLess playing, when they were still 1-up, played against Millennium. It was a 3v1 on Coastline, and 1-up planted the diffuser. Millennium make it happen in a 3v1. There's 3 alive. They don't find the diffuser, and one up get a free round, basically.
Yeah, so
It happens.
They're very much aware of their past, and they're not looking to repeat it. Smart play indeed. I mean, that was why they went through, or that's obviously why he went through the castle barricade instead of the rotation hole in the wall. You just don't want to risk it. There's no, like, that's where the Claymore is going to be if there's going to be a Claymore.
100%.
So, 4-1, we talked about how OrgLess needed to salvage at least one round, and they have done so. They have managed to pull it out. So they could very easily start their comeback right here and now, but they have to get that momentum rolling right off that that win. Because if they just lose this round, of course, that's going to mean we have a guaranteed tie at the least for Mockit.
Yeah, it's just, which is why it's so important to look at the way that Mockit set up their defense in this one. What they do bring are 2 ACOGs to the table with the Maestro and the Dot. So that's Void and Enemy. They'll also have Ravant with the Pulse. So you'll probably be playing from downstairs. It makes a lot of sense with the C4, right? The counters on the other side, interestingly enough, OrgLess not bringing the IQ, they'll be bringing the Zofia. And we talked up Zofia so much, but she is also very effective on this site. Hey, you want to come in? You already opened up the sidewall because KS is bringing the Thermite. Yeah, there's no mute, there's no bandit. Your path is fairly easy. And then you add to that the fact that you have smokes, you have calls, you have Lion, you also have Zofia Jmot nades that you can throw in, you have Candelas. All of that combined will make things so difficult for the defenders to even react to a plant.
So, the big question, where is OrgLess going to commit their attack? There are a lot of good decisions with their current lineup. Come from offices, they could hit CCTV into a wall. They've really got choices. And the simplest take is by far that a wall hit. And given that they do have smokes in hand, that's the likely choice here for OrgLess. But again, it could go either way. So, setting themselves up. Interesting thing here, we've got Zofia actually on the balcony instead of downstairs. Now, usually you would expect the Zofia to go below to help KS so he can avoid bandit tricking or mute jamming, but there are neither from the defense right now. Instead, they're going to rely on simply spraying through the door and doing some damage to the Thermite.
This is the reinforcement, quote-unquote reinforcement, we talked about earlier on in the week where the wall is half reinforced. It really started off last week in Valencia where it was brought back into standard play.
Right.
And this is why you do it, because you can take pop shots at the Thermite. However, it's not always effective, as you can tell.
It also means that Rips, whenever he wants, is going to be able to open up the other side of the wall. So, questionable decision. It's interesting to see, though. Always cool to see that new stuff. I really like this pincer that's being set up by Hungry on the north balcony over by the Radiator. He's getting ready to push into B using his Candelas once the actual take comes into the A site. So he can get a little bit of a flank off. And actually, he's going to rotate off of that. Interesting choice. Maybe we'll go over to Sandwich. Either way, those Candelas are going to need to be exceptionally useful in this round. He's going for a spray through the floor, and he will get Boy, who is playing by half wall. Good read there from Hungry. Good coordination to get that done.
Yeah, it took 60 rounds in the mag, but you know what? Totally worth it. Now the Jaeger's searching for him on the other side as Hungry will try to contest from the armory window. Now, obviously, he can throw in a Candela, but it will get taken down by ADS. As you hear, Panix jumps out, but he cannot find the angle, and Hungry has not reacted to it.
He doesn't really need
Panix has to run away. He has to come around for so much to actually get back up and help out his teammates. Unfortunately, the smoke will not get shot mid-air as Rips was setting up for it. Ace is coming in from the side. He'll get one. Can't get the second, though, as Alive is a bit quicker here on the trigger. Diffuser is in the hands of the Thermite as Para walks on in, gets 2 free kills. And now Panix coming around from the back. He was detected, and that will be Rips. Tears him to shreds. So, round to be put up here by OrgLess to make it a 4-2 still in the advantage for Mockit.
So that was exactly what OrgLess needed. If they had lost that round, of course, it would have started a landslide against them. But now they're still in it. They only need 2 more rounds to equalize and get that 4-4 situation. So, yeah, what seemed like a completely dominant victory for Mockit has taken a bit of a turn. And we could see that continue to play out, and I think it's very likely. Ventilation Room workshop the next defense, so a Mockit not going to stick to their guns on Armory. Smart play here. We saw the same thing done by OrgLess. I'm curious how Mockit will choose to defend ventilation, because the way that OrgLess was doing it, very much reliant on that vertical play. However, given that Mockit chose not to engage those roamers on the top floor, I don't think they put a lot of stock in those roamers, and they might not try to emulate OrgLess in that sense. I think we'll probably see roamers, yes, but maybe not as many, and maybe not all focused on the top.
Yeah, and that's it's always the flexible part of a defense. You know, how do you set things up? Because when we saw OrgLess playing this site, they were obviously all playing up top. It worked out at the end for them, but what you're really afraid of if you play too much top and like top-heavy defense is not rotating on the site fast enough, not really knowing when to come back and collapse back onto it. As when Mockit were attacking, they had a clear way in. They spent most of their time setting things up, and by the 40th second, they had a way to inch back into the workshop and play off of a plant in there or in ventilation. It obviously did not work out, but here, OrgLess, as is tradition, they'll be bringing the Candelas with Ying. It seems like if you don't ban Ying against OrgLess, you kind of put yourself in the world of it.
Yeah, it's I'll keep saying it, but this operator ban phase was really not great on the attacking side. Both teams, I think, lost out on potential utility removal. I mean, Ying, obvious ban right there. Thermite, we're talking about Border, that's another one of those obvious bans. On this map, he just seems to be a staple ban, and there's a reason why, and you could see it. Both teams, they're bringing Thermite every single one of these rounds. The reason you need that big destruction to get through all these walls. There's a lot of horizontal play, as much as there is a vertical dynamic on Border, and yeah, you cannot rely on just getting rid of one individual player's preference operators. I think, and even then, you did do that, but you also didn't get rid of other individual players'
that
personal
are much
preference.
more well known.
And we're talking about Hungry on Ying right now.
Yeah,
it's I just don't. Anyway. It doesn't matter.
We'll be all right, Michael.
We're going to get through it.
We'll get ice cream after this show.
He's Hungry loves Ying. He's really good on Ying. Yep. We're all just... Anyway, top 4 control going to be the focus here for OrgLess. They're going to push their way in through tellers as well as offices and archives eventually, because if you push just tellers, you expose yourself to any potential roamers above. So you have to make sure to lock down those drops.
All right, Aces is in the waiting room here. Maybe expecting somebody to contest from below, or at least get a bit more aggressive, because OrgLess were doing a similar thing themselves. So, you know, maybe they're expecting some reciprocation, I guess.
Reciprocation.
Reciprocation is more to a physical option.
Yeah.
I looked at, like, reciprocation is apparently mostly tied to humans and their actions, but that aside, KS, threads then.
What a shot.
Finds the headshot. And KS is just so adamant, I will never play ACOG on a Thermite, and that's not something that people usually do.
Yeah, there's only a few players that really just avoid the ACOG when it's so readily available, and clearly that's going to be KS in this instance. Now, he hasn't been playing that well so far in the match, but he is going to hit his shots reliably in a situation like that. After opening up the A wall, he's already done his job as a support. Now he's turned into full Fragmite. Aces is going to get alive as well, so the attack really shaping up here for OrgLess as they start working their way in through the A wall. Ravon is going to shut them down with a double kill onto Aces, and KS Panics gets his own onto Rips, and Voy onto Hungry. What has just happened to OrgLess? They have fallen apart on the attack, and Para, the final attacker now, with very little HP and time, will have to go against 3 defenders. Ravon will shut him down, and what a comeback from a Mockit. Unexpected, to say the least.
Yeah, and it seems like OrgLess were doing everything right, and then Mockit just kind of collapsed on them. And I think it's just the fact that players from OrgLess were divided up, and they weren't working together as a team around the site. And you know what? This actually puts them in a pretty difficult position, because scoreline is 5-2. If Mockit take this next round, then that's all she wrote for OrgLess in this week's second play day. That'll be 3 extra points for Mockit. Points that both teams here actually are desperately in need of. But OrgLess really want to show why they're able to qualify to the Paris Major, why they played so well at 6 Invitational and it's Season 7, even if they did not go to Atlantic City. They need this to show for themselves as well, that as a crew bringing in aces early on in the season, they can adapt very quickly to the new level of teamwork that's required and the metagame to advance their positions in the season.
So, Mockit, as a whole team, played that a lot more horizontally than what we were seeing from OrgLess. They went onto ventilation and they just anchored in the site. They did have those roamers upstairs, but not nearly as many. And eventually, when they wanted to contest, they just came back to the site on the final push. And it worked out great for Mockit. It really was all they needed just to get themselves in a position to take fights and win fights. Meanwhile, OrgLess kind of fell apart at the seams when they were going for the actual push because, well, they seem to have a distinct inability to win fights right now. They're struggling to do so. And I think you're right. What you talked about, you touched on it. It's a lack of communication. It's a lack of working together. The synergy just is not there right now for OrgLess. And it's interesting because I think that's probably one of the things that I would say that they are usually pretty good at. And right now they're struggling. So maybe just an off day. Maybe it's 2 days in a row. It's getting them a little bit tired. Maybe I don't know what it is.
Tired?
I don't know. I'm trying to come up with excuses for them.
I don't think that's a word that I've ever heard anybody throwing around. That's for sure. But yeah,
Rips. That's sarcasm.
But Rips is on the outside here, just by customs. Miss out on the drone, but you know what? It's just an extra 1.5 seconds. He'll be able to run back in, check out the stairs. There's nothing in there for him to find as Para is continuing with information gathering for OrgLess. This is, again, an essential round, and not just this one for OrgLess, but all the subsequent rounds, because you need that 5-5, or else you get nothing at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for OrgLess if they can't win 3 rounds in a row. They will very likely see a shift in their position against their opponents even. Mockit, the ones on the bottom hand here, 6th place as compared to OrgLess's 5th place. So this will be a huge win for Mockit if they can nab it. KS will open up the A wall, so that's a good start for OrgLess. Now, they just need to start their frag cycle, as is pretty typical on an A site push. You just get those entry frags, you get rid of the player playing at half wall, and then it's an easy one-sided push. Hungry repelling on the sandwich window, I still believe, and that's going to be a good position for him to deploy his Candelas once the actual push comes out.
Now we'll see when that is timed, because last time Panix was able to jump out and try to contest. Unfortunately, he had to take a few minutes to stroll back onto the site as he couldn't find the angle on Hungry and got detected taking a bit too long to actually get the job done. So, shut down the front door. Para will set up the Claymore because this is the exact spot that they were able to rotate back against them. No drop. Oh, there we go. They drop on in, and they still get the kill, and that's the diffuser, the Claymore down from the side. It was all well planned. Unfortunately, the server drop was not something you were expecting.
Yeah, and he missed out on a kill on the initial drop as well, but now the attackers are at a disadvantage with only 25 seconds, still plenty of gas canisters in hand for the defense. Alive going to start throwing those out to delay. This is it for the match. Mockit seemed ready to win it. Ravon with a knife kill into the rushing Ying of Hungry. Para gets a Claymore on the running out Panics, but Alive still in small office. We'll get the headshot on KS. One more player for OrgLess. What a shot from Aces, but he's got to find 2 more with 4 seconds. It's nigh impossible here as he pushes his way into small office. He just doesn't have time. And it will be the GG. Mockit take it 6-2, and they will get their full 3 points.
Yeah, that was a bit of a beautiful wallbang, to say the least. But, beautiful plays aside, that's not enough to get you the win.
No, absolutely not. And I gotta say, it honestly comes down to me, that match, you can summarize it very simply. 4 rounds in a row, right off the bat. from Mockit on the attacking side. And yes, this was an attacker-favored map. That much is clear, given the operator bans. But you can't allow 4 rounds to slip by you so easily. It's going to demoralize, if nothing else.
Yeah, and you know, they got 1 round at the end here, OrgLess, but it was just not enough. You mentioned the Thermite. That, if that was a ban, maybe that would have helped out, you know, a bit on the